Welcome back. This is the IRS Radio Hour on AM 560. The Answer. Here with Deborah and Jim, and we're having lots of fun. And we're going to invite you to have fun with us here on the next segment.
It's the blog segment. The blog. The blog.
Okay. Whoa.
Was that your interpretation of Park Avenue Beat?
The answer is yes.
What do we got on the blog today, Attorney Steven Leahy?
Park Avenue Beat. That's what we have on the... Okay, so what I'm going to talk about today, and it's funny because I had this already kind of planned, and then yesterday I got a call from an attorney friend of mine who sent his wife's best friend to me and said, she has this she has this question, and she called me. She has this question. Can you help her? And I said, sure, I'll answer her phone. So she has an IRS problem, which is why he had her call me, because he knows I handle IRS stuff, and he sends people to me. Anyway, so this is her problem. She owed about 15 or 16 grand from 2015. Her husband was ill. And they were having financial issues, and the illness created this financial problem. They owed 15 grand. And they've been trying to work something out with the IRS. Her husband passed a couple of weeks ago, and she had insurance, so now she's going to get some insurance. And she called and she said, now I have a chunk of money. Can we work something out with the IRS? And I get this all the time. So people, we're in a partial installment agreement, or I've come up with currently not collectible status for a client. And these are all actual cases in my office. And then somebody in the family dies and leaves them a big inheritance, or insurance money, and they come into some money. And then they call me and they say, I'd like to solve my IRS problem now. Can you call them and just offer them something, but not everything I owe them? Offer them something. So I had one gentleman owed about 200 grand. She owed 15. So she said, well, can you offer him 10? And she said, I called around. I finally talked to my best friend's husband, who's an attorney, and he told me to call you. But before she could talk to him, she called around to other places, and they told her, we can solve your problem for $3,000. Okay. And I had to tell her, you can't solve. The only way you can solve your problem and get rid of the liens, because she wanted to buy a home with some of this money with her kids, because she's got 2 kids. And the only way you can solve that is to pay the IRS. I mean, you're going to have to pay them because you have assets. I think I was talking a little bit about this in the other show. When you have something, when you have assets or income, or, you're going to pay the IRS. Because you come in with a lump sum of money, and you think, well, it's not like a lot of these creditors, right? So if I have creditors, I owe them some money, and then I come on, so I owe a credit card 10 grand, and I might be able to, and I haven't paid them for a while, and then I just say, hey, I'll give you 7 grand. I got a chunk of money. Would you settle? They say, sure, we'll settle. Boom. They're done, because they're not going to get paid. So they figure, they're going to take the money. But the IRS isn't like that. Okay. They don't just take an offer. You don't just call and say, hey, well, can you take, like in this case, will you take $10,000? Well, wait a minute, you owe 16. Why would I take 10? Oh, yeah. Because I'll give it to you right now. Uh-huh. Oh, well, we could take it right now. Yeah. They're the IRS. They know you have money. They can come and take it. Right? So you're going to pay them. The only way, this is what they call the offer and compromise. And this is what they were telling her, right? When she calls around, they say, we can solve your problem for $3,000. And I had to tell her, well, they don't even know what your problem is. They didn't even ask you if you had any assets. And they're going to tell you that they can solve it for $3,000? Is that, really? Can that really happen? And for some people, it could happen. But for most people, it's not going to happen. And if people don't ask you about your situation and do an investigation to figure out where you are, how can they solve your problem? They can't. And so here in this case, situation, if someone called and said, hey, and I had to tell her, I'm not the one. I could get rid of the lien for you. I could, but you're probably better off to do that yourself too, because she did a lot of research. Some people are better than others, right? Some people can fill out paperwork, and some people can't. Mm-hmm. But she seemed to be active and doing a lot of research, and again, he sent her to me to help her so she can hire me. But I had to tell her, it won't do you any good to hire me because you're going to have to pay the IRS. And the best thing you could do, you can get into a payment plan, and we can get you in and she was in a payment plan. She's paying about $200 a month or something like that. But I do the math. I told her. They came, what you owe divided by 72, and they came up with a number, and that's what they told you. So you got a good insurance, you got a good IRS guy who gave you a lower payment. Most of them won't do that. When you call, they won't tell you how they're going to figure it out. They're going to ask you, what can you pay? And you're going to be afraid, and you're going to tell them, oh, I can pay $700 a month. Okay, now you're going to pay $700 a month, even though they could have done something maybe at $250. Okay, so they leave it to you. You put a number up because you don't understand the way it works, and they say, okay, that's the one, and you're destined to fail. Okay, so anyway, in her case, I said you could continue paying it, because you're under $25,000. They're never going to change. They'll let you pay it off at that rate until the end. But if you do that, know that you're going to pay interest. They're charging you interest on that, and the IRS interest compounds daily. So while the interest rate itself is not that high, and it's just gone up a little bit, I think it's at 4% now. The interest rate itself is not that high, but because it's compounded every day, that number grows very quickly. Okay, and in her case, I told her, okay, so did you always pay your taxes? Oh, yeah, we always paid our taxes on time. We always filed on time. We never had this. Just this 1 year, we had this problem. I said, well, then you call her, and I gave her some buzzwords, and I'm going to give them to you. These buzzwords that will work. Okay, I've been in compliance. Okay, so here's the buzzword: compliance. And you tell them when you call, I've been in compliance. This is just 1 year. I want to seek an abatement. An abatement is another buzzword, right? This sounds, then you know it, they know when you talk to them, they know you know what you're talking about. And then they're more likely to give it to you because you know what the rules are.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, the rule is if I've been in compliance before, I've always been in compliance. Actually, it's 3 years before I miss a payment. If I'm always been in compliance before, and now just this 1 year I missed, and then they will abate the penalty. Abatement means they'll forgive the penalty. So, and if it's down the road, right, that's going to make a difference because it's compounded. They put an interest on that penalty too, and if that interest on that penalty is compounded every day, and it is, then down the road, if I pay over 5 years, that'd make a big difference in how much I'm going to pay. Right. So, and if she's going to pay cash, she's got the money today, then you should have them abate the penalty and tell them I'm in compliance. I'm in compliance before. I'm in compliance now. I want you to abate the penalty, and I have the cash. I'm going to pay it. Pay it. Okay. So if you have the money, pay it. I always tell people if you have money to pay the IRS, it's best to pay them. First, you get them off your back, and secondly, you're going to save a lot of money. Okay, because the interest rate, it just will kill you. So again, these are the kind of things. It happens all the time where you're in something, you get a chunk of money, and you say, do you think I can work out a deal with the IRS? Everybody does it to me. I get that call when I saw this call was coming in because she had called. She talked to Bonnie, and Bonnie put her on my schedule.
Who you will be speaking with when you call
at 312-664-6649. Bonnie put her through to me. Always puts anybody on the radio show, mention the radio show. She'll always put you through to me. Or if a lawyer refers you to me, I'll always take your call. And I had to tell her, I'm not the guy for you. You don't need me. You don't need to hire that other guy because nobody's going to be able to help you. All they're going to do is take your money. What you need to do is use the money and pay the IRS because that's the way it works. The only way you're going to take less is if there's debt to collectability, doubt to collectability, and there's no doubt to them collecting if you have the money.
Well, that's one of the main features that we talk about on this show is the fact that, one, stay in compliance, and two, also seek representation.
Absolutely.
You're not going to get those buzzwords if you don't have that kind of representation. Could you represent yourself? Yes.
But call me and I'll give you. If I'm not right, if you don't need me, I won't. I'm not going to try to sell you like this guy did for $3,000 to sell her nothing, because he's not going to be able to help her. At least I'm going to tell you that I can't help you.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Remember,
and I gave her a roadmap to fix her problem.
Attorney Steven Leahy is there for you. Think of him as your personal Tom. Ladies and gentlemen, give Open Tax Resolution a call. 312-66. Well, to get to financial success, 312-664-6649. And visit ChicagoTaxTeam.com. It's going to be your help to fight the IRS. Now, ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. Because after this commercial break, we're going to be talking about what's going on with Donald Trump, what's going on with everything. relating to El Presidente. So, ladies and gentlemen, listen to our sponsor. Come back on AM 560. The Answer.